And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us again here on the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube video channel. We've been having a very spirited discussion about female characters in comics. And again, this is all totally unscripted. Understand that Jose and I can have completely differing opinions on these things, and we also want to hear your opinions too. So feel free to either comment on this video on the YouTube channel or even post a video response. If you live somewhere in the Schaumburg area and you'd like to actually be in on one of these segments to discuss comic books here at Dreamline Comics, you're always welcome to drop us a line. And
I got a couple of friends of mine who might actually be joining us next time. So.
I actually tried pulling them in, and well, they said they passed this time.
But
they're always welcome. Folks are always welcome to join us, as long as, of course, you can bring some spirit, but really bring a rational discussion, because the irrational I've already got covered right here.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, great talk about Ms. Marvel and Mighty Avengers and what we perceive as misogyny in the Marvel books right now. We're going to put that aside right now, because that's something that's really been covered a lot. This was brought to our attention, though, gives me a segue, the whole thing with Doctor Doom and Ms. Marvel and the backlash surrounding that was brought to our attention by the Occasional Super-Heroine blog.
Yeah.
And by the way, you are great. We love your blog. I love your blog. I'm in love with you. So we've got to hook up at a convention.
No,
I don't mean that in a
I have to
creepy
say
way,
though,
but,
just
yeah.
like as reading it as somebody's blog, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of like good. It's a good read. Like the only other blog that I actually enjoy as much is Lying in the Gutters.
Oh, Lying in the Gutters. You don't like my blog then?
No, I do, but you hardly ever write any.
You're right. It's hard for me to write these days with all the stuff.
I mean, Rich Johnson does it once a week, and I like his stuff in it.
And he had a baby too, so
and
I guess
so
it's props.
Yeah,
so you're right.
No, but this new blog, this Occasional Super-Heroine, blogspot.com. It's very cleverly written, and I know there's other people on there besides her that actually review stuff. But yeah,
she brought up a point that was brought up from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, issue number 13, part 2 of the Wolves at the Gate story arc. And don't want to get too much into spoilers here if you haven't read it yet.
but it's been out for a month.
It's been out for a month. Well,
unless you're waiting for the trade, then
unless you're waiting for the trade,
that's what's going to bring down the industry. So thank you very much for that.
It's been discussed a bit on the internet, so I'm not going to worry too much about spoilers. But if you haven't read it and you don't want to know, stop here and then come back. All right. So there's a scene where Willow is talking to Tatsu on this military plane. They're heading over to retrieve the Slayer's scythe. Mm-hmm. Am I saying that right? And Willow is asking Tatsu about what Buffy is like in the sack, because Buffy had that very well publicized sexual encounter with one of the Slayerettes. Incredibly well written, I thought, handled very well, and humorously too. You always have to throw in some humor. Drew Goddard is one of the original Buffy television show writers, and with him being a TV show writer, Joss overseeing the entire process of how these books are put together. Did Willow behave out of character when she asked Tatsu, "How was Buffy in the sack?" Do you think she behaved out of character?
See, you know what, and this is the thing that I like. This is the reason why I like reading certain blogs, because there are perspectives in there that I never really. I mean, to me, like, I read it and I love reading Buffy. It's one of my favorite books. It has been since the first issue came out, and I didn't really think twice about it, But in retrospect, after reading the columns on the blog and going back and thinking about it, I can understand where she's coming from, and I'm still kind of torn on it. Like I'm still not thinking that it is out of character.
Just so you know, folks, you're watching history in the making here. Someone is actually almost changing Jose's point of view on something, which is, I'm aghast. I think I'm going to cry.
Yeah. It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
But
a lot.
I mean, I'll admit it. I read it. I thought it was a very well-written scene. The conversation between Willow and Tatsu. To me, the way I interpreted it, it's Willow basically trying to make Tatsu feel more at ease with what she's really uncomfortable with. Tatsu is obviously aware that Willow and Buffy are very, very close. That they've been through a lot together, and maybe it's Willow's way of bringing Tatsu into the inner circle of being one of the Scoobies, as you would say,
right.
Because there is a separation between Buffy and that Slayer army. And plus, Willow, quite frankly, is a complete opposite of what she used to be in the early seasons of the show.
Completely, yeah.
Completely different. She's a much more open person, much more liberated. There is a gap there between the last television season and the beginning of this season where Willow was gone for a while.
Yeah.
And we don't know what has happened to her in that time. So chances are there's been some character development there too that we're not aware of.
Right, and there's also been obviously character development going on in that same amount of gap with oh Jesus Christ.
Xander
Xander
and Dracula, which to me has to be, I hate to say it, so dead on when it comes to male relationships.
Yeah,
it's so dead on. I mean, some people might interpret it as gay.
Yeah, that's not how I
didn't interpret it that way at all, because I know some of the relationships I have with some of my guy friends kind of really close that way. We're, I would say it's almost like if for those who watch Scrubs, a JD and Turk type relationship.
Yeah,
we're just really pushing that envelope. There's nothing physical in there. But you have the mutual admiration societies going. That's a relationship I hope you and I can have one day. No? Okay, that's okay. I can hope.
Hoping not, but who knows
Never
what's
know.
gonna happen.
This is not a mutual admiration society. But anyway, so back to Willow. I have friends who read Buffy too. Lots of friends who read Buffy, and female friends who read Buffy who did not have a problem with that scene. So, I mean, I guess it's not just a male perspective. What would be, I guess, you're thinking about it, you're mulling it over. Did they err? Did they err with the character?
See, no, I mean, I think, I wish that I had printed out the blog or something, but from what I remember the blog, like, it was kind of like akin to saying, like, if Buffy had slept with Xander, would Willow go to Xander, so how was she in the sack? But again, there's completely different dynamics because they've been best friends forever, right? So they would never say that to each other. But again, trying to make this new Slayer just kind of bond with them a little bit and just kind of bring it up in a cheeky way. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I really don't. I mean, I understand where people would think that it was out of character, but again, rereading it after I didn't think anything of it. I see where they're coming from. I completely do.
And I have faith really in Joss Whedon and in Drew Goddard that these are the guys who were there when the characters were created. And I don't think Joss Whedon would say, let Willow do something that he considers out of character. Right. I understand the objection to it. I can understand we, as fans of the characters and of these books, we have our own personal opinions and we're vested in them. Sometimes we get a little annoyed at what the writers do with the characters, but in this case, it's really not, to me.
But at the end of the day, this is a licensed comic that's coming out that Joss Whedon's
doing.
Yeah.
If anyone knows these characters, it's him. And it's not like Bendis doing Doctor Doom, where it's not a character he created.
Right.
That he's giving an interpretation of. This is Joss Whedon's vision that I trust, and take it or leave it, like it or not, it's what it was. So I'm gonna have to accept that as his vision. Anything else?
No, I think it pretty much covers it.
All right, well then I think that kind of puts a bow on this segment. We hope you join us for the next.